Am I the a-hole for not inviting my friends for an annual New Year's trip because they didn't invite me last year? Anyway, so my friends and I have been traveling for every New Year since we were 16. We are in our early 20s now. It's a friend group of 6 people, 3 girls and 3 guys. And naturally, we all dated someone from the group at some point in high school. The guy I used to date and me broke up in 2020 but stayed friends. He found a new girlfriend a few months after that. Let's call her Amy. But I was okay with it and we all continued to hang out. Now New Year 2021 is coming up and we start to plan our trip. We were supposed to go to Greece. Usually I'm the one talking to the agencies and trying to save as much money as we can. Everything is fine and going well until about a month before the trip. My now ex best friend comes over and tells me that Amy isn't comfortable with me going on a trip because everyone is coupled up and I was single. And given my history with her boyfriend, she felt awkward. I felt sorry because I never got the feeling that she didn't like me or anything, so I asked if that means that she's not coming or what. Turns out that she still wanted to come, just didn't want me there. I was kinda hurt by this, but even more when the rest of my friends agreed that maybe it would be better if I didn't come, so there would be no drama on the trip. Anyways, I didn't go, kinda stayed away from Amy and my ex since then, and stopped hanging out as much with all of them. Then not long ago, Amy and ex broke up, I don't know why. And now this year's trip is coming up. I already have plans with my roommates and we are going to Amsterdam. And when my friends learned about this, they just assumed they are coming with us as well. I told them that roommates and I are going alone, and if they want to go, they can plan it for themselves, but that this is not a group trip. It's petty, I know, but feels right to do to them what they did to me. Anyways, they called me some names and we had a fight. And now I'm starting to wonder if maybe I am in the wrong. I mean, I'm ending years-long friendship over some stupid trip, so am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your friends ditched you for no good reason last year. If Amy was uncomfortable, she shouldn't have come. You aren't even as close anymore and don't owe them anything. Regarding ending your friendship completely, I think you should have a talk with them. I'm sure they've noticed your friendship has drifted in the past year. If they aren't receptive or apologetic, maybe it's time to let them go completely. Honestly, maybe it is time to let go of them. They don't think they are in the wrong, just me. And honestly, I might be the a-hole even, but I want them to see that they are too, not just me. You're not the a-hole. They had no problem excluding you from the previous trip. They're okay with throwing you, their years-long friend, under the bus for a new girl. You know where their loyalty lies, and it ain't you. Ditch them. Not the a-hole. They aren't really your friends either. They didn't mind hurting your feelings when it worked in their favor. Now they want to piggyback on your trip? Nope. Find some friends who will care about your feelings and stick up for you. If they had apologized earlier, I would feel differently, but what they did was rude and hurtful. Well, I really used to think that they did have my back, and we've been through a lot together, you know? Used to be 8 of us, but we lost 2 to self-harm, so the rest of us just kind of started to depend on each other. But seeing as someone new can replace me in their eyes hurts like hell. I had friends that I went through a lot with too. It sucks, but real friends wouldn't drop you like that. That is true. I'm starting to wonder that everything that happened was the only thing keeping us together all this time. Friendship is based on performance, not length of service. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to drive my drunk friends after I wasn't invited to their party? Simple conflict. Lol. Scenario: university students. Some friends of mine used to throw big parties, but when they got too big, most people in our shared friend group were uninvited. Myself sometimes included. I didn't like trying to keep the party secret from our other friends, so I got really uninvited. I was upset at first, but now I don't really care. It's cliche, but I have more fun with the uninvited squad. However, I'm really close with Ray and she knows I'm responsible. When we used to go to parties together, I was the food picker-upper. Last night she crept away from a baking session, claimed to be tired, and lo and behold, wound up at a party at 1 a.m., which I found out when she texted me asking if I was sober. I said yes, but refused when Ray asked if I could drive. She replied, "But we're drunk and we want food. We're at Alex's, party host." I told Ray I didn't feel like picking up food for a party I wasn't invited to. But if she needed to walk home or to our house in Complex to pick up some crappy campus food, I'd drive. But to say so soon because I was going to bed. Drama. At this point, her boyfriend took her phone, I'm told, and texted that it was a prick move to leave my drunk friends and it was my responsibility to make sure they were safe and didn't die or get arrested. I texted Ray to think ahead next time she went to a party. Good night. This morning was sort of tense. I wasn't angry except for that one text from boyfriend. Ray came up and said we ended up getting somebody sober to get us food, and I alluded to the text. She said her boyfriend texted it, but it sounds like she agrees with him. They're a little salty I wouldn't drive. So am I the a-hole for refusing to help them out? I feel like they might be right, that I should care for my compromised friends, and it was irresponsible of me to be passive, knowing they were drunk and wanted to drive somewhere. However, I've been drunk with them before and they've always understood not to drive drunk. And I think I don't owe them because why should I help out their secret parties that I wasn't invited to? Oh, also I think this is important information. The place we throw the parties is a 3-minute walk from our housing complex. You can get back and forth easily without driving. Also, food delivery services don't work on our campus. Not today, home. Did I read it correctly that they had a party 3 minutes away from where you all live? Didn't invite you, then wanted you to be kept and just eat for the night? Saw that business. Ray crept away. World's smallest violent parade for Ray here. I've helped out stranded friends in the past and it's been all good. Happy to do it. But the people I helped hadn't frozen me out of social gatherings. They're just using you by the sounds of it. Seriously, the nerve of these kids. It's your responsibility to deliver us food. You're such a a-hole for not being a free food delivery driver for a party you weren't invited to. I hope you don't let their words get to you. They have serious entitlement issues. No matter what they say, it is not your responsibility to do anything for them. The fact that they genuinely believe somebody else is responsible for them and that they aren't responsible for their own selves is alarming. To be fair, the friend group is very communal, and we had a pact when the party started that we'd all look out for each other, alternate designated drivers, watch drinks and walk home, etc. But that was balanced and contingent on actually being invited to the parties. Thanks for this. You're helping me see that it's unbalanced. Entitled is a good word. You are not the a-hole at all, and these are not your friends. In fact, Ray's boyfriend was wrong. You're the best possible kind of friend. You told them you wouldn't play delivery driver for them, but if they genuinely needed someone to ensure that they were safe and get them home, that you would do that. What you wouldn't do is let them take advantage of you, and you were right. Take it from someone who was in your position at your age, but wasn't nearly as self-aware or confident as you are. It took a lot of years to realize that people like that aren't friends and aren't worth it. If they don't value your company all the time, including when you're not doing things for them, and they only, or even mostly, think of you or reach out to you when they want something from you, they don't care about you no matter what they insist. You're just a really useful convenience. Like Uber, except that you don't get paid. I'm glad you've already figured out that the uninvited are more valuable friends. Ditch these other ones. Thank you. Not gonna lie, I needed your comment to remind me of my worth. I still value Ray's friendship, but this is making me realize how much she uses me. I don't think I'm ready to ditch, but I'm gonna try and distance. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for chipping dog poop into my neighbor's front yard? I bought my house about 3 months ago. When I moved in, I noticed there were a couple dozen lumps of dried dog poop on one side of my front yard. Before I mowed the first time, I went out and picked them up with a plastic bag over my hand. The next day, I noticed a couple more fresh ones on my lawn, so I kept an eye out for the culprit. It didn't take long to realize that my next-door neighbors have some sort of Benji-looking fluff ball of a pooch that they let out unattended a couple of times a day. The dog would sniff around for a while, then run over into my yard and poop every time. It was as if he were trained that way. The daily poop accumulation rate seemed to be 2 or 3. I hardly knew my neighbors, so I was hesitant to approach them with this sort of issue right out of the gate. So I waited a couple of weeks, but I made sure to go out and pick up the poop while my neighbors were outside. One Saturday afternoon, I saw my neighbor out front while I was tending the garden. I said hello and started a simple conversation. After a few minutes, I mentioned the poop and said it would be appreciated if they could pick up after their dog. My neighbor laughed and said that's not from his dog, that there is a stray dog in the neighborhood that does that everywhere. What to do? I decided to train my video doorbell to the poop zone and set the sensitivity to high. Within a week, I had a robust collection of video evidence incriminating my neighbor's dog. I'm no poop pathologist, but it's also pretty clear to me that all the poo in my yard came from the same dug or bunghole. Armed with mountains of evidence, I took the opportunity to approach my neighbor's wife when she was walking the dog. I didn't go into forensic details, but simply asked her if she wouldn't mind picking up after her dog in my yard. She also denied it, and the conversation ended awkwardly at best. I spent several more days noodling over what to do. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I pulled a pitching wedge out of my golf bag and proceeded to chip dog scat from my front yard into my neighbor's. Beyond solving my immediate problem, I could also work a bit on my short game. This went on for some time. It became a weekly ritual that I sort of enjoyed. I did it without shame and in broad daylight. Everything was copacetic until last Saturday. I was out doing my thing when my neighbor's wife barged out her front door screaming. She told me that I can't do that and called me every name in the book, including the obligatory a-hole word. I tried to keep my cool and told her that I was simply returning what was theirs. Last thing I heard was that she was calling the police as she left. I continued and finished up my chipping session. I never heard from the police. I haven't seen my neighbors' faces, and I haven't seen another poop on my lawn. I'll probably have a horrible relationship with my neighbors forever now, but my immediate problem is solved. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Lots of discussion about whether or not I showed a video. In my second encounter with a neighbor, I told them I had video of it. She said something like, "What?" The conversation escalated to awkward and ended shortly after, so I did not show the video, but I did tell them I had it. Not the a-hole. You are simply returning their property. It would be criminal to keep what is not yours. OP fences make the best neighbors. Not the a-hole. You were just kindly returning their property. However, you could have been a little more diplomatic, considering these will be your neighbors for some time, and it would be best not to make them enemies. Maybe you could have shown them the video or some photos as evidence. Neighbors still would have denied it was their dog. People like this never learn. I think this is amusing. I had a neighbor years ago who did this because other neighbors' dogs were constantly roaming the neighborhood, pooping in everyone else's yard. Can't fence right to the street, so even having fencing didn't help. I don't remember that she ever stopped letting her dogs roam, but it made the neighbor feel better to chuck the poop over. He even added a little bit of poop from his own dog. Not stay home, but get a fence. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my brother's girlfriend for letting her kid eat my food? For context, my brother, 26 male, and I, 22 female, have lived in the same apartment for 3-ish years. It was a mutual decision and we split the cost of everything, 50-50. He earns more than I do, but the split cost is okay with me. His girlfriend, 24 female, started living with us almost a year ago, and her kid, 4 female not with my bro, comes to stay with us sometimes. This was not discussed at all, and while I don't really like kids, I don't generally mind her having around. His girlfriend doesn't share with the bills. She pitches in when she can and does her share of chores and cooking. So here's the thing. I work night shifts remotely. I buy snacks so I have something to munch on to keep me awake at night. My brother's girlfriend also stocks up on food for her kid, and this is generally classified as just for the kid. Nobody's allowed to touch it. Not that anyone would steal food from the kid in our house. I also keep my own stash of cookies and the like in our common area, as I don't want to attract ants in my room. The problem is, her kid sometimes wants to eat my food. If I'm there and they ask, I do share some. But I budget my stash, so I have enough till my next grocery run. However, recently I've noticed that my food gets depleted real fast, even though I've been eating less. Again, I really don't mind sharing as long as people ask. I asked my brother if he's been eating my food, but he says he hasn't. He did tell me that the kid prefers my cookies to what her mom gives her, so the mom has been giving her mine. I confronted his girlfriend and asked that they ask my permission next time before consuming my food. They both got mad at me, saying I should be so selfish and just share with the kid. Am I the a-hole here? It is just food, but it's been my only indulgence since my budget is tight. Now for the top comments before reading the little update. Not the a-hole. First up, why are you paying 50% when this is clearly a 3-way flat share now? Also, why doesn't the kid's mom just buy the same cookies you do? Then there's no need for them to pinch yours. They're being unreasonable, but like wrongdoers, everywhere they need to blame you so that they don't feel bad about themselves. Get a better, more robust cookie jar that repels ants and take it into your room. 4-way, don't forget about kid. Not the a-hole. You buy your food for you, not for your brother's girlfriend's kid. It's one thing to choose to occasionally share. It's another thing entirely for them to not even ask. Also, can we talk about your brother's girlfriend not contributing to the cost of living in the apartment? Shouldn't be a 50-50 split. You should be paying a third. You're being taken advantage of. She doesn't have a stable job right now because of the pandemic. That's the reason why she moved in. She does a lot of the chores, since I sleep a lot during the day due to work schedule and can't help much outside of my days off, so I count that as her contribution. And now for the update. I seriously appreciate all your concern. I'm working up the courage to have a sit-down talk with them on my next day off, so we have time to hash things out. I have spoken to my mom about the situation, and she is willing to take me back in since I'm working remotely anyway. Mom is living alone now, and is not comfortable letting me live alone again because of a medical condition. I broached the subject with my brother previously, after girlfriend started staying over more, but he didn't agree. He's been a good brother to me, and has taken the responsibility to check on me because of said medical condition. I'm by no means a burden, just that I tend to not tell anyone if I'm not feeling alright, and try to carry my own weight myself so as not to burden the family. 50-50 split. This is me trying to make it up to my brother, as he also willingly offered to live with me after I was hospitalized before. He also has the bigger room because of the same reason. Chores. I make little to no mess in our common area as I keep to my room often. I do my own dishes most of the time. The girlfriend picks up after my brother. He only does heavy lifting, but not the little chores like sweeping, cooking, etc. Cookie jar. I have books in my room, which is why I'm wary of ants/bugs. But looking for a cookie jar in our next run. We generally only do big batch groceries as cases are still high where we are, and we can never be too careful even if we are well vaccinated. Except the kid, of course. I was really just wondering if I was an a-hole for getting worked up over cookies, but I'm so grateful for the great advice and concern I've received.